At its peak in the year 1279, the Mongol Empire stood as an unparalleled global power. As detailed in the brief, it held sway over contiguous territories stretching from East Asia's South Korea to Europe's Poland. Reflecting upon the astonishing rapidity of its conquests during this early period evokes profound wonder. However, over time, the empire gradually relinquished its dominion, waning in strength. Ultimately, the Mongol Empire met its demise, disintegrating into four major khanates after the passing of its formidable ruler, Kublai Khan, in 1294, marking the closure of the Mongol era. But what if, in a hypothetical scenario, the empire were to be restored to its precise 1279 borders today? As always, our initial consideration lies with the population and territorial expanse of the reconstituted Mongol Empire. In this scenario, a total of 30 different nations would cede portions or all of their territories to the empire. The majority of these nations would be concentrated in Asia, with a few located in Europe. With these combined territories under its banner, the empire would lay claim to an enormous expanse, encompassing 9,270,000 square miles. This would solidify its position as the world's largest country, surpassing even the likes of Russia and Canada. Notably, the contemporary land area of Mongolia stands at a modest 603,909 square miles, constituting a mere 6.5% of the newly unified empire's territory. In terms of population, the restored Mongol Empire would harbor an astonishing count of approximately 1,900,459,000 people, constituting 24% of the world's entire population. This would unquestionably position it as the most populous nation globally, outpacing countries like China, which would cease to exist in this scenario, and India. The choice of a capital city for this revived empire presents a challenging proposition. While one might naturally consider Ulaanbaatar, the present-day capital of Mongolia, it is important to note that the city was established long after the original empire had faded into history. Consequently, Beijing, China's current capital and a thriving financial and population hub, could serve as a practical choice for the empire's capital, although it would not stand as the largest city within the empire's borders. The Guangzhou urban area, boasting a staggering 47,600,000 residents compared to Beijing's 20 million, would claim that distinction. Remarkably, this urban area's population is so substantial that if it were an independent nation, it would rank as the world's 29th most populous country, surpassing nations like Kazakhstan and Algeria, both of which boast land areas over 100 times its size. The following are the top 10 largest urban areas within the Mongol Empire. Among the top 10 cities, a cool 5 would chill in China, with Moscow in Europe representing the sole non-Asian city. The population headliners would be Moscow, Beijing, and Shanghai. In addition to its vast population and extensive territory, the Mongol Empire would wield considerable economic might. Its GDP would soar to a staggering $19.55 trillion, securing a second-place position globally, surpassing China's, which would cease to exist, while trailing behind the United States. However, despite its substantial GDP, the empire's GDP per capita would not be as impressive due to the inclusion of relatively impoverished regions within its borders, such as Pakistan, Ukraine, Iraq, Belarus, and others. Consequently, the GDP per capita would approximate $10,289. While not exceptional, this figure would outstrip the GDP per capita of other historical empires, including the British Empire and the Umayyad Caliphate, placing it 67th worldwide, just ahead of Mexico but behind Kazakhstan. To offset this, the Mongols would preside over a substantial share of the world's oil reserves, equivalent to approximately 11.2% of the global supply. Despite appearing united on the map, the reconstituted Mongol Empire would be characterized by a diverse tapestry of religious beliefs and ethnicities. In terms of religion, the predominant faith within the empire would be traditional Chinese folk religion, with a majority of 58.5% adherents. Sunni Islam would constitute the second largest religion, with 12.1% of the empire's population following the faith. Buddhism would rank third at 5.3%. Following closely, Orthodox Christianity would claim 4.6%, while Shia Islam would represent 4.5%. Protestant Christianity would comprise 2.2%, Catholics 0.8%, and the remaining 12% would consist of atheists and irreligious individuals. Alongside religious diversity, ethnic diversity would also be a hallmark of the empire. Han Chinese would constitute a substantial majority at 66% of the population. Russians would represent the largest minority at 6%, with Indians and Pakistanis following closely at 5.2%. Koreans would comprise 4% of the population, while the remaining 18.6% would consist of various smaller ethnic groups. Finally, we turn our attention to the last facet of this scenario: military strength. The Mongols would field a formidable military, boasting an estimated 6,131,000 troops in the event of full mobilization. This force would be composed of approximately 3,100,000 reservists and 3,031,000 active-duty personnel. Notably, the Mongol Empire would also possess nuclear capabilities, inheriting the nuclear arsenals of China, North Korea, Pakistan, and Israel. This arsenal would encompass an estimated 610 nuclear weapons. In sum, it is evident that the revived Mongol Empire would emerge as a superpower and an economic colossus on the world stage. This wild, what-if, scenario leaves us pondering what such a country would be like. How would it handle modern politics and governance? And most importantly, would Genghis Khan approve?